We are actually heading towards the climate, huh? Climax, so to speak. I wonder if you can hear it. The soft dripping of rain outside. Nah, it's not important right now, is it? It's me, the angry anime fan, the despair reviewer. Although I technically mostly just review Eden Zero. Well, not mostly nowadays. I've actually reviewed all the other mangas most of the time, but I primarily just want to focus week to week on Eden Zero. And this time it is an Eden Zero chapter. All the while I wait for something else that I'm not gonna talk about. Alright, as for the chapter though, this is Eden Zero chapter 156. And well, as I said, when I said the climax, we actually see back Xiaomei, the narrator of this story. And she actually begins to brief us all on what is happening. The Ziggy's mechanical uprising, Shura's maniacal plan, the all-link system, Eden Zero going out, them defeating the oceans, and of course Shura greatly damaging Witch's system and while taking Witch hostage. And all the while also showing that where they are at the military facility where they will find the prince and perhaps also the all-link. Also, while Homura is separated and had actually joined with Creed. The fact that she actually mentions that, I mean, yes, it's been shown that she has joined with him. I mean, that Homura and Creed were on the same, place. But the fact that she's mentioning that and not even Weiss, who is also separated from the team, and mind you, may imply to me that maybe Creed and Homura will be somehow finding something that may save the rest, so to speak. And then also begins to mentioning about Justice Ereza and Goodwin's battle outside. However, she also begins to say, it's here that she says this part of the story has entered its climax. Which makes me very worried, because there is so much yet resolved. And this seems to imply for me that yes, this story is definitely not gonna end happy. It's gonna end with despair. However, she also begins to mention that in this chapter alone, she is actually gonna show you a different scene. A scene of something that is happening while all of this has happened. And that is on the Nero 1 planet, the temple, where we actually see Jaguar. Justice said before that Jaguar will busy with something else, and Eraser was just a little bit baffled that what is more important than the saving of Aoi. Well, it turns out that Jaguar just wanted to cut the Viper's head off at the source. He is actually attacking Poseidon Nero's headquarters. And he has actually teamed up with Richard, the android manufacturer that was extremely outspoken about Shura's maniacal plan. And now when they have teamed up, the defenses of Temple has actually crumbled, as we see Fabiano and the many soldiers mentioning about the fact that Richard had teamed up with the the Interstellar army because of Shura's speech, as well as many other civilians has actually joined with them. Well, private armies has joined the thing as well. So, I mean, what can we say? We actually learned something about the end of this plan here, but I still have to say, was this all really necessary, Shura? I mean, yes, it may actually have been implied at the end of this chapter that all of this maniacal plan was more than just a maniacal plan. It was simply an attempt to be a Starscream. But there is no way Aoi Cosmos is yours if all of this happens. Granted, it's very apparent that Shura is showing, I have power, no one can defeat me. But the problem is, even if no one can defeat him, eventually someone will come and challenge him with power. So Shura's idea, as Fabiano calls it, a foolish plan, actually was, in my opinion, a foolish plan, because but it also because it's also have brought another thing. As I said before, there we do not know if when this plan was first revealed, we saw Siggy, and Shura was gloating over the fact that Siggy is in the palm of his hand, while we also saw Siggy also mentioning this, which I mentioned. Maybe Shura is the one in Siggy's palm of the hand, and if you ask me, Richard Richard, the president of the android manufacturer company, teamed up with the Interstellar Army. Yeah, there is just something that is not going to be right here. Because Siggy is in this chapter too. But before we get to there, Jaguar bursts through the door. And we finally see Jaguar in full action as we see the full extent of his ether gear. Of course, we do not learn the name of this ether gear. But we do, because I presume it is his ether gear, because we see the lines on his body. But we do learn, but it seems to imply that Jaguar had a personal beef with Nero, because he's saying he has waited for this day for a long time, the way I could hunt Poseidon Nero. Either way, he enters what I presume is his ether gear as he takes off his shirt, and he transforms into a leopard man. Yeah, a beast man, so to speak. Showing that this is a very similar... it's like Takeover when Elfman mentored a beast-like man. Now, Jaguar is one too, which is a very fitting for his name, Jaguar, because now he is in a... Well, he's not a leopard man, sorry, maybe he's a Jaguar man. Because his name is Jaguar, yeah, duh, I'm so dumb. Still, though, we don't exactly know the name of this ether gear. Although this still doesn't exactly confirm, is he human or not? I mean, I don't think he is human, I think he's an alien. But what I mean is, when he takes off his shirt and his face went from human-like to completely leopard-like, we see that the spots that he has on his face are actually on his arms as well, similar to a jaguar, which implies to me that, yeah, I mean, yes, he is an alien, but it does seem to imply to me that in this state he is half human-like, half jaguar-like, but when he enters his ether gear mode, he becomes full jaguar-like. Well, granted, almost like, almost like a Zoan from One Piece, a hybrid form, so to speak, although he looks more beastly. And then he proceeds to wreck the soldiers, and when I mean wreck, I mean pure and simply execution. No kidding. We actually even see the gore and limbs being torn off. He mercilessly and without any ounce of pity kills them all. Granted, he is, and Horatian says, Interstellar, and as Justice says, they are judge, jury, and executioners. And these are soldiers of the Imperial Army, so to him they are his enemy. So yeah, it makes sense he would kill them. But I still would say that is not really something a hero would do. And then Fabiano tries to, intervene, and unfortunately... Jaguar takes him out pretty easily, because even though Fabiano managed to land a hit with his own ether gear, an ether gear that allows his body to become like Aoi crystal, a very heart-like substance, in the end Jaguar punches him and proceeds to mutilate him. It's not exactly clear to me if he's actually killing Fabiano, but it looks like he actually pierced his abdomen, so yeah. Maybe he did kill Fabiano. The fact that Fabiano was taken off that easily was actually kind of a disappointment, but I have a feeling this was only meant to worth effect. This was only to show just how dangerous Jaguar is, and how dangerous his ether gear is. Because if you just killed Fabiano, who had a body that is supposed to be as hard as Aoi crystal, which we can assume is a very hard-like substance, then yeah, that is not an ether gear we can mess with. It's a pure and simple melee combat thing. Either way, he is he pierces through him slides him over the floor and throws him against the wall, where Fabiano is either killed or knocked out. We don't really know. But it's then that Poseidon Nero shows himself. And he actually says that Fabiano was the best soldier in his empire. In another translation, he actually said one of the best soldiers of his empire. But now he says he's the best. So, yeah. Well, that's kind of underwhelming. But granted, however, we shouldn't actually call that too underwhelming, because these interstellar Russian says are supposed to be in a league of their own. So yeah, if they can't defeat someone who is quote-unquote the best soldier in a very huge army, then how would we even know how powerful they would be, right? So this is the only way to show it. Yes, I know it's a Wolf Effect moment and quite honestly a little bit downplayed, but this is how Hiro Mishima runs things. So deal with it. And then Nero shows himself and actually reveals that they have another guest. And who is that guest? Well, as I said before, it's Siggy. And let me tell you, as Siggy appears this time, he has never looked more badass than before. I hate to say that to a villain, because I hate villains. I mean, I want to play a villain, unless of course I'm dying, but that's beside the point. But the full spread of showing his body, really, his large coat, the crystal-like mouth in his belly, the armored pants that he now has, and apparently also more traditional-like legs, as well as the big horns. It just oozes badassness. He actually looks completely like a final boss in this situation. It's a pretty neat one. As Nero calls him an old friend, Siggy of course just says, "I have no friends," which is once again contradicting everything the good Siggy said about. And this also once again creates a very ironic cycle. The real Siggy, the evil Siggy as we all can call him, is really the exact opposite of the good Siggy. Granted, the good Siggy was a memory lost evil Siggy, so of course it would be the complete opposite. But it's almost jarring to me just how much the evil real Siggy is so different from his memory lost good self. It is jarring just how 180 they are, even if this is his real personality. Maybe it's even more jarring that just by losing all of his memories, Siggy became a good guy. It's jarring, really. He says that he has no friends, and Nero says, "Then I assume you are my enemy." The Eurasian says Interstellar, Jaguar. The Eurasian says Galactica, Poseidon, Nero. As well as the main villain, Siggy. All in one place. Who is gonna win? Well, yeah, I think Siggy. Because Siggy is the quote-unquote main villain in this manga. And I think we only saw Jaguar's badassness so he can be sacrificed against Siggy. And because then Shura gets them notifications by all the Imperial thinks of it all, but he of course just shut down the phone and begins to laugh, saying this was all of his plans this entire time. He actually is saying that this is what he wanted. He wanted Siggy to battle his father, and then one of them is going to end up dead. And he thought and he is pretty sure Siggy is going to win. And once he has won, then Aoi Cosmos is officially going to be his. You know, Shura, you are sometimes such an idiot that it almost makes me want to laugh. You think Aoi Cosmos will be yours? I think he realizes no one is gonna follow him. And as I said before, yes, Shura has power, and with power, he don't need followers. He can just intimidate them. But the problem is that even if Nero dies, which he probably likely will, then Siggy is going to be the winner of this Aoi Cosmos. Shura is not going to get the Cosmos, and why? Simple. Because Richard, the manufactured android company, is at the scene where Siggy is. And do you remember what Siggy could do? He could brainwash androids. So I don't think that is what Shura have planned, because Richard being there is an unfortunate situation, because Siggy will kill Richard as well, take his company, brainwash all the androids, and even if he doesn't get the all-link, which I think he even will do that, he will take the company. And the other point is, even if Poseidon Nero dies and the cosmos is his, he still has Siggy to deal with. There is no way he can defeat Siggy. So the cosmos is not going to be his. Because Shura single-handedly destroyed the Empire through his foolish plan. It's not going to be his, even though he is so spoiled and so entitled thinking it is his. There is absolutely no way he's gonna get it. And which tortured, sweat, and very largely sweating, and I think even something even more sad, yes, says, isn't he your family, Poseidon Nero? When Shura's maniacal laughter suddenly changes into a frown, implying that maybe he has some issues with the word family, and says, don't talk to me about family, robot. I'm getting tired of playing with you. Witch's life is almost at the end. Shiki is dead. Shiki is close by. Oh, and yeah, that's another thing. There's no way he's gonna defeat Shiki. But the problem is, when Shiki sees the state that Witch is in, I have a feeling he is going to unleash an anger that is on par of Gone from Hunter x Hunter. And I hate Gone from Hunter x Hunter, but there has been some people who's pointing out that Shiki's anger is surprisingly similar, well, not to him, but in a way, Shiki's anger is something to be very fearful of, implying that maybe his character is actually becoming a little bit more unstable, and Shura's actions certainly hasn't helped. So yeah, Shura is digging his grave more and more and more and more. There is no way it's going to be exactly as it's planned. So yeah, well, seeing Jaguar in a badass moment was badass, and seeing Siggy's full on display disguise was even, appearance was even more badass. There still is a very, very huge dread in the air. Because, as I said before, the ultimate winner to me is going to be Siggy. And now with the android manufactured company here himself, then yeah, I think the victory just got even more increased. And I'm pretty sure the Dark Stars are going to take care of them. And finally, but yeah, can they get to the All-Link? Can they stop the All-Link? Because whatever happens from this point on, yeah, I think it's going to be Siggy's victory. But Nero predicted or said that he will be victorious. You know, I actually got a theory about that. Maybe, what if the biggest irony is of it all, that yes, he will be the victory, but he won't live. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to try to summarize it, because now this review has been extremely long. What I mean is, maybe Nero will win, but he won't live. And because he maybe saw something in his future where he realizes he will die, but he also saw a future where in the end the Empire or Siggy's Empire or actions will crumble. Maybe he saw Shura also losing and everything else, because I don't think he has ever loved his son. So what I'm trying to say is, maybe what Nero meant by he said that I will be victorious, and the fact that he said many will die, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't really matter. Because if Nero dies, he still will be victorious, because he saw something that will eventually save our cosmos and will bring forth Siggy's end. Granted, however, given his actions and the rebel army that hate him, it's very unlikely that Nero ever saw that. So yeah, it would have been a twist if it's like that. But we are to also assume that Nero is a true evil character, so what does he mean by being the victory? Give me your thoughts if you have any.